How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the What's Up Eddie channel, Divine Therapy Sessions. And of course, I'm the one and only Eddie. So glad to have you guys back, and these are my Divine Therapy Sessions. Hey guys, so glad to have you guys back. Once a month, I like to talk about my sobriety, recovery. The reason why I talk about it is because not only do I want it to normalize it, because normalize it in the meaning that I don't want it to have a stigma anymore. You know, it's hard not for it not to because of all the things that come along with it, right? But I think taking the stigma out of it, of being able to talk about it, being able to admit to it, is a really hard one, right? But I like to talk about it because it's been so amazing within my life. I never thought that, I didn't think that I was going to make it past a certain age. Of course I did, but I also didn't think that it was possible to be in recovery. I used to say that, you know, I would say to myself that there's no way that I could live a day without a drink. And that's really how I lived my life for a very long time. And I couldn't think of being sober because that would be a life that I didn't want to live, right? So my sobriety date was January 20th, 2020. So I have 21 months today. So I give myself a pat on the back. It was very hard. And that's I say that every time I talk about this because, you know, I like to put the message out there that yes, you can recover. Every one of us that are alcoholics can, or if you're an addict, whatever your getup is. But the reason why I like to talk about this, you guys, is because I think first and foremost is that I want to talk about the stigma behind it, right? And I think that goes back to the admittance part, right? Like, I don't want to admit to another person that I am an alcoholic because they're going to look at me a certain way, right? There's always judgment within the world. It's just the place that we live in, right? But I hear the reason I do this video is so I can show the next person that you don't have to live in that fear, because that's an illusion-based lifestyle, you know. And a lot of us, even addicts or alcoholics, we live in fear. We end up finding out that we run off of fear on a daily basis, right? But I can tell you just from my experience that, you know, that is what I was all about. I was scared of everything, and then I would put a mask on showing that I was this tough guy. And, you know, really at the end of the day, it was just wounds that I had, you know, through my childhood as well as my adulthood, right? So I was a veteran, or I am a veteran. I was in the Army. I went to Afghanistan, so I've seen quite a bit, right? I lived a lot of life, but it still doesn't take away from one ultimate fact. So it's like there's a criteria, I believe, and there's a criteria within, like, if you read the texts that most alcoholics have to or are supposed to be reading, there's a criteria for an alcoholic. And, you know, they have those tests and stuff like that, and you can take it. There's online tests, am I an alcoholic? And then you'll see if you are or you aren't, right? But a lot of us will take that test and be like, nah, I'm still not. You know what I mean? But the reason why I'm talking about this is because it's the first step, right? You got to admit it. And I think that's the hardest part, admitting that you have a problem. That's within any problem that we have, right? But it's a strange thing because, well, let's talk about the criteria first. There was two people in the book that they talk about. There is a guy by the name of Bob Silkworth, and then Bill. So essentially what they're saying that an alcoholic has is the obsessive mind, the physical allergy, which means the obsession of the mind is obvious, but the physical allergy is the actual reaction that an alcoholic has when they have the drink. The difference between an alcoholic and a regular person who isn't an alcoholic, the alcoholic has the drink, he gets that fuzzy feeling, and then the obsession of the mind kicks in, and then from there it's off to the races, as they say, right? But a person who's not an alcoholic, when they get that feeling, they stop. It doesn't make them feel any better, so they don't have to keep going, which an alcoholic doesn't have that. And the third thing, but I always say this, the third thing, I think humanity has this issue, and that is it's called the spiritual malady, and all that translates to is a disease of the spirit. And so we all have that. If you're on planet Earth, you have a disease in your spirit. That's just the case. So what does that mean to all of us, right? So you can just count this as education, right? Why am I teaching you this? I teach about spirituality, right? This is the base of my spirituality. This is where I would say every group or association that I went through, they talk about it in just a different way, right? So alcoholics, they call it doing a fearless and searching moral inventory. Essentially, I'm making a list of traumas, and then I'm finding why it happened to me, and then I take accountability of how I do it in my own life, and then from there I start making a change, right? And then make my amendments, or amends. I don't know why I'm saying amendments. Amends. And then from there we start to really we have to start making a change. And so like the spiritual people, or that spiritual group of people, they call this doing the work, right? Or doing the shadow work. Now, I would say this, you guys, that part, it's later on within, going to meetings and stuff like that, but it's a vital part. I would say it's the heart of the 12 steps. And when you do that, you'll start to find yourself making some significant changes within your life. That's when my life truly changed. And, it's when I say I got into the spiritual, more of the spiritual side of this, meditation, that kind of thing. Obviously, if you watch my channel, it's a lot deeper than that. But I would say this, you guys, I always bring the message of hope. If you meet that criteria, right? Like, so my story, I'll say it quickly as possible because, we only have so much time on here. But I would say it like this, you guys. So my story, it's like, and you would think that this story isn't as common as others, but I find so many others that have the same, or went through the same processes. So we start out our life, and this is my story. I'm going to talk about it as if I'm talking about the collective of alcoholics, which it's not all of us, but a lot of our stories exist this way. We start out our life. Our life was not good. Our parents did things that they shouldn't have done, and they taught us to do the same. And so as we grew up, we took those childhood answers and we brought them into adulthood. And we found that, whenever we got into situations of, whether that be work, or if it's not work, it's any type of stress, a marriage. Some of us go to war. Some of us, we get put into situations where it brings up that trauma from our childhood. And our answer, most of our answers, is to take the drink. And we battle with that process our whole lives. So for me specifically, I battled with that for over a decade. More than that, 2 decades. So I can tell you this, man. Like, I went from the age of 15 all the way to 33. Now, that's a long time battling it. And I knew I had a problem from the beginning. And I couldn't stop it because I would rather feel like I escaped instead of living within the world because it hurt too much for me, right? Now, if your story sounds anything like that, I want you to know that there is help. You can get help. And it doesn't matter. Like, I know that one of our biggest issues, and this is why I'm talking about it, is that we don't want to talk about it. We want to talk about our problems. And secondly, we don't want to have to admit to another person that we're alcoholic because, yes, there is stigma. Yes, people are going to judge you. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter about those people. What really matters is you. That's why I put this message out there. I have 21 months, and I don't say it to get a congratulations. I say it because I didn't think it was possible. I really didn't. But I'm sitting here before you today saying that sobriety is part of my life, recovery is part of it, and that I have never lived a life that I've lived now. And you guys, I don't have it all. Not yet, anyway. I'm not filthy rich. I don't have, so we have like real world life, it's just like your regular old day life, right? Like, yeah, I've adopted, but okay, so I say it like this. I may not have the money or the house or any of that stuff quite yet, right? But in due time, that's going to come no matter what. But what I do have, and this means everything to me, is peace of mind, peace in my heart. I also can look myself in the mirror, which I couldn't do before, right? I'm able to look another person in the eye. You can't put a price on waking up in the morning and actually having a smile on your face. Does it happen every day? No. And real stuff happens within our lives. You hear it every day, man. I go to AA meetings all the time, and you hear it. You know, people aren't. It's not like you don't ride a unicorn and you're all happy. That's not how it works. But you're able to approach life with a better stance, with a better hold, a better. I would say you have a base underneath you, and you're not easily swayed left and right. You're able to stay within your own shoes, and for me, that peace is priceless. You can't put a price on that. And, the journey, I would say, with spirituality has been a gift from God. And I'm so grateful at the fact that I've been blessed where I have knowledge, been blessed wisdom, intelligence. I'm blessed in many ways, but I just want to say to you guys out there, if, kind of went on a tangent, but I just want to let you guys know that you are capable of being sober. You're capable of admitting it. And I would just like to create the culture where we educate people on this, where we educate, it's that, I don't think that'll change because people are naturally like, if people look different, they don't want to be a part of it, right? And they'll make that person, they'll ostracize the person. But I just say this, if we put the education more out there, we realize that it's a disease, and it's not a stamp on someone's head for us to ostracize that person, because there's the death ratio that happens within that culture, AA culture. It's high, you guys, and I happen to have lost a loved one or a relative to the disease, and so I know a lot of people that have gone through the same thing. And so I just want to put the message of hope out there that yes, you in fact can recover, and it's going to take a whole lot of work, but that's the message of today, you guys. I really do love you. I love putting this stuff out there, and hopefully I touched someone today. All right, guys, you guys have a good one. Make sure to subscribe.